What is up, guys? My name is Lex and welcome back to the vlog. Today's video is going to be a 5-5-10 session at Casino Dania Beach here in South Florida. There is a $2,000 cap on this game. The action is crazy. Tons of all-ins, wild hands. Let's go. This first hand, under the gun, Steve races to $50. There's a re-raise to $160 in later position. A small blind cold call for $160. And with pocket sevens, $2,000 cap buy-in, I'm trying to build my stack. I jam all in for $2,000. I've announced the table that I'm just going to run it once in this $2,000 cap game, looking to either make it big or rebuy and try to make it big again. Back now to Steve, who snap calls my $2,000. Late position player snap calls as well. And just like that, we're all in for a $6,000 putt up against Ace Queen and Jacks. Oh, not great for me. Pocket sevens, I'm going to need a 7 or some running straight cards or flushes. $6,000 in the middle, off to 1 run out.
Oh my God!
Ow, Steve scoops it.
Fuck yourself.
Fuck yourselves.
Fuck you, Lex. You suck.
Rebuy for $2,000, in for $4,000 now. Early position makes it 30. Jacks for me, I make it 125. 2 callers for 125. Back over to the initial raiser, who goes all in for $1,900. Jacks is much better than pocket 7, so I am all in as well. Rest of the players fold. We're heads up. 5 cards to Flop see. Looks good, 10 high. Turn gives me open-ended. River 5. My opponent shows ace, king. Jacks are good. And just like that, we are back to even.
I believe you. Thank you.
Charles Aiden.
Next up here, I make it $35 under the gun with 8-6 of hearts. There's a later position player who re-raises me to 175. Everybody else folds. I call. Second pair for me on queen 5-6 1 heart. I check to him. He continues for $200 with some backdoors, a pair. Can't fold just yet. Look back at my cards and make the call. Turn card ace. I check over to him and he checks back. River card 6, giving me trips. I think the best play here is to check. Allow him to value bet his ace-x hands, his queen-x hands, or potentially bluff. So I check, and he does put out a bet. $600 to go. I could be afraid of full houses, but not today. I re-raise now. I put him all in for $2,200, trying to get called by an ace-x hand, an unbelieving queen, and he does call pretty quickly. 8-6 is good for trips. We've been all in now. 3 for 3 hands. First one, we get stacked. Second one, we win, and now this one we win as well, up around $2,000 on the day. There's a call pre-flop, a raise to 75, a call, and I decide to just call here with pocket 9s. Could squeeze sometimes. This time I decide to call. We go multi-way to king 8-9 with 2 hearts. Middle set for me. I check. Unfortunately, the action checks all the way around. Turn card, 7 of hearts. Bad card. Straights get there. Flushes get there. But I'm just going to bet, and I think I can get called by a lot of worse hands. If I get raised, I know I'm up against a better hand than mine. I make it $200. Steve calls to my left, and initial raiser calls as well. Final card is an offsuit ace. I'm going to bet small, a sizing that I can get called by worse hands. $300 to go. Steve calls, and the other opponent calls, and 9s are good.
Wow, 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 wow. Oh. I'll take it.
This hand is very, very interesting. There's a raise to $30. I now have pocket kings in the cutoff, a hand you want to re-raise, make the pot bigger, so I make it $125. Steve now on the button makes the cold call for $125. Now big blind makes it $400 with $2,000 remaining. Now the initial raiser, who made it $30, cold calls $400. Action now on me. I definitely want to be re-raising here, but my plan is to make it a sizing that when I raise, the big blind can then jam and open back up the action. If I make it something like 1,500 here and the big blind jams, the action is not open when it comes back to me if Steve calls. So with some calculations in my head, I decide on a $775 raise size, meaning that if I make it $775 and Steve calls $775 and the big blind jams for $2,000, it'll open up the action again for me to then re-raise again and try to get more money in versus Steve for an outside pot. So that's what I do. I make it $775. Steve calls. Okay, plan is going well so far. Now big blind jams all in for $2,000. Now the initial raiser, who made it 30, then called $400, also jams all in for $2,000. This is a great sight, and this is where I make the mistake in the hand. I now 6-bet jam all in for $8,000 in my stack, thinking that Steve has around $4,000 in his stack. But what I don't see is that all of his chips are lined up against a rail, and on the far left-hand side is 5 yellow chips. I thought he had $4,000. Turns out he has something like $9,000. If I would have known this, I probably would have made it like $3,500 or $3,000 instead of jamming all in for $8K. Now, by going all in, I kind of allow him to play perfectly with hands like tens or jacks or ace king or ace queen. So this was kind of a mistake, but I was a little excited. I just wanted to get the money in. I go all in, and now the action is on Steve. Does he want to call $8,000 or fold?
Sick here. This is it's the action's done. What is sick is I'm scared of him because I have ace king and I'm shoving on all of you. I'm fucking scared of him right now. I'm not folding.
Don't show your cards. You can't show your cards.
It doesn't fucking matter.
You cannot show your cards. Okay?
I didn't say anything yet. No. I'm actually scared of him right now. Hoping he has only queens. Wow, I've never folded a hand like this. I'm folding. Fuck it. Fold.
You fucking pussy.
Fuck you. Fuck you. You have told you had kings.
No,
Right?
You're a nit.
No, I'm not a nit.
Actually, I didn't see you had that much. I wouldn't have gone all in. All right, just one time.
Fuck that. I don't give a shit.
There it is.
It's all right.
Oh,
It's all right.
man.
It doesn't matter. It's a good fold.
buddy.
It is a good fold. It is a good fold. It is.
I didn't see you had that much. I would have made it different.
That was a good fold on my part.
Steve had ace king. If I would have made it something like $3,000, $3,500, he would have called and then spiked the ace on the flop. I would have lost a massive pot. So I guess it is good that I wasn't paying attention to his stack and go all in. It works out though. Steve's conservative play allows me to win around $5,000 in this hand. This was quite the sun run. In for $4,000, turned a 2K stack all the way to a $13,000 stack. Running pretty good so far today, but I go very cold for around an hour and a half, 2 hours. I fold forever before picking up ace 4 of hearts. I flop huge when I call a raise. Queen 8-4, 2 hearts, nut flush draw, and pair. Action checks all the way around. Turn 3, now small blind leads out for $250. I put him all in now for $2,700. Back over to him. He doesn't like it, but he makes the call. Just like that, we're playing around a $6,000 pot. One time, he says he has 2 pairs, so we're going to have to get lucky. Need an ace, a 4, or a heart. And I brick. 10 of diamonds, no good for me, and we lose a big one. All right, I have an announcement for you guys. I need your attention. This is urgent. If you are doing work, listening to this in the background, stop what you're doing, quit your job, and pay attention. If you are driving, pull that car over, pay attention to what I'm about to say. If you're eating food, spit that food out. I have an announcement. I'm going to be starting monthly meetup games here at Casino Dania Beach in South Florida. The first one, get your calendar out, get your date set. It's going to be November 20th. That is a Thursday, starting at 6 p.m. The game is going to be 5-5, 2-blind game, $1,000 max buy-in, $300 min buy-in. All you have to do is show up November 20th, Thursday, 6 p.m. Put your name on the list, have some money, and you can play in a game. There should be a lot of action, could be multiple tables. I'll be bouncing around from table to table, making videos, making a vlog. Should be a lot of fun. November 20th, Thursday, 6 p.m. Hope you guys are going to be there. I'm hoping to do these every single month and try to grow South Florida poker. All right, now I got that out of the way. You can go back to eating, you can go back to driving, and you can reapply to that job. Pocket Kings worked out well last time. Let's play them again. We're doing a round of $25 straddles. I make it $100. There's a couple calls before the small blind now re-raises to $640. I think all the time I should be re-raising here with players left to act, but sometimes, like I said in the last video, I think it's good to get a little tricky, play a little unorthodox, and do some things that people might not think you're doing. So I decided to just call this $650 re-raise, trying to keep my opponent in there with worse hands, hands that he may fold if I would have jammed. He's got around $4,000 to start this hand. He makes it $650. I call, everybody else folds, and we get a pretty good flop. It comes out queen high all clubs with the king of clubs in my hand. I'd say it's pretty good. He now checks over to me. With around $3,500, maybe $3,800 in his stack, I'm going to bet a sizing that he can call with all those pocket tens and pocket jacks and ace-king hands. So I make it $400 back over to my opponent, who looks down at his cards, looks over at me, and jams all in. Not going to fold. I call, running this board out one time, and looks like we're pretty good. When he shows a queen, just got to fade another queen or a ace, maybe. And we do. We fade it. Turn and river are safe for us, and all the money that I just gave him with that ace forehand is being shipped back over to me. Probably the most interesting hand of the night here is when I have pocket jacks. I make it $50 from early position. There's a call for $50 before the small blind makes it $375 to go. Now the big blind player goes all in for $1,500 back over to me. So I raised, there's a re-raise to $375 and all in for $1,500. I could re-raise again looking to just isolate this player who's all in for $1,500, or I could call and allow other players in there with smaller pocket pairs, maybe hands like ace-jack, ace-queen. I think it's kind of close here. I think a call is fine in this game. I mean, it's around 150 big blinds. So I decided to call $1,500 back now to the small blind, who initially made it $375. We are very deep, around $12,000 effective. He decides now to 5-bet jam all in for $12,000. This is a huge spot. I mean, is jacks ever good here? Is he doing this with 10s or 9s? Maybe he thinks once the big blind goes all in for $1,500 and I just call $1,500, I don't have a big hand. Maybe he's doing that with smaller pocket pairs, but I think a lot of the time here, he's going to have hands like queens, kings, aces, and ace-king. And against that range, we are just praying to flip, and a lot of the time, we are completely crushed. So, although I would love to gamble for a 25K pot with pocket jacks, I think we're just no good here, or we're flipping. Maybe I should just gamble. I'm only in this game for $4,000. I don't know. I go back and forth. Ultimately, I decide to just let it go. I don't think it's worth it. I fold, and they end up running this board out one time, and I get to see what would have happened. I would have rivered a full house with a jack on the river up against ace-king, which actually makes some sense. Him going all in for $12,000, he probably wouldn't do with aces or kings. He would probably make it something like $4,000. Maybe I could have found the call here for $12K. I am okay with my fold. I mean, imagine if he just has queens and we get stacked for a $25K pot. But man, is it tilting to get to see the run out. I would have won a massive $25,000+ pot if I could have put in the call. A little bit tilting. I have now lost about half of my profit, and we have now bumped up the game to 5, 10, 25. There's a raise to 75. I re-raised to $400 with Jack 10 offsuit. Same player who made it $12,000 with Ace King now re-raises me again to $1,300. I decided to call here in position. We're pretty deep, and we see a flop of King Jack 3 with 1 diamond. I flop second pair. He leads out for $1,000, and I call. Turn cards to 5 of diamonds, bringing now a diamond flush draw, and he continues for a $2,000 bet. Now, once he re-raises me pre-flop and bets this flop and bets this turn, I think he's going to have hands like aces and ace-king a lot of the time. Now, Jack 10's not doing very well against those hands, but I could hit a Jack, a 10, or I've decided, given the fact that I have the Jack of diamonds, if a diamond rolls off on the river, I could try to bluff. So I make the call again for $2,000. A little bit loose here on the final cards and offsuit 6. I do not improve. I cannot really bluff, and it's shut down pretty quickly when he goes all in for around $5,000 or $6,000, and I fold, punting off around $5K here. But luckily enough for us, he shows us his hand, and it looks like he was not bluffing this time when he shows me pocket aces. After losing this hand and then some more hands over the next hour, I'm officially now stuck on the night. I have $15,000 in front of me, but I'm now stuck a few $1,000s. I was up almost 10K at my high point and now losing. Well, I take that tilt out in this hand. I raise 5-7 suited from early position to $200 over a $25 straddle. Steve calls to my left, big blind calls, and now straddle player makes it $1,100. Well, 5-7 of hearts is not a raise from early position, and it's definitely not a call when a player makes it $1,100, but I'm pretty tilted. All these players are pretty deep, and, 5-7 could hit some 2 pairs, some sneaky straights, maybe some trips or flushes. So I call $1,100, Steve calls $1,100, and the big blind calls as well. Almost $4,500 in this pot, to a monster flop. Queen, 7-3, 2 hearts, I flop middle pair, and a flush draw. Big blind checks, initial raiser checks, and I think I could go back and forth between checking my hand or betting. I do have showdown value, and I am only drawing to a 7 high flush. Could be dominated here. I decided to check and evaluate and see what Steve does, and he checks behind. Turn card, not great. It's a 3. Now this will counterfeit us up against a Queen X hand or jacks or 10s if we were to hit 2 pair, and obviously we miss our flush. Big blind now checks. Initial raiser now checks again, so I'm pretty sure he just has ace high, maybe something like ace king. Could fire out again now, but like I said, I still have showdown value, so I check. And I also think this could be a spot where if Steve is checked to twice, he could potentially bluff. Well, I don't know if it's a bluff or not, but he does fire out for $2,000. Big blind pretty quickly folds, and now the initial raiser, who I thought had something like ace king, but maybe he has something like jacks or 10s, he makes to call. Well, I'm now getting a good price to call for my flush draw, although the board is paired. I don't know, kind of a tough spot again, but I think in this position, I think it's possible that the initial raiser has something like jacks or 10s, and Steve could be bluffing, so my hearts are live, and my 7 would be live as well. So I call big river coming here to a queen, double pairing the board. Initial raiser checks. I check. Steve snap checks. We could have the winner, until he shows jack 3 suited for a small boat. I guess he was afraid of the queen. And yeah, we're not going to win this one. What a lucky run out for Steve, hitting trips and holding in this huge pot. I continue to add on to my stack, looking to potentially win a huge pot. It's that time of the night. Chips are flying, people are tilted, and some big pots are brewing. There's a raise from early position to $75. I call next to act with ace-jack offsuit. Now over here to the small blind, who bumps it up huge. He makes it $850. Initial raiser calls $850. Closing the action, I decide to call and gamble. Now huge pot brewing, over $2,500 in the middle to jack 4-4. I flop top pair, top kicker. The action checks to me, which I feel like is good, but I have seen the small blind players sometimes slow play hands like aces, kings, and queens on boards like this, so I decided to go with a very small bet of $600, thinking that if I bet small, he's always going to raise his aces, kings, and queens, and I'll pretty easily find out where I'm at. So I make it $600 back over to the small blind, who calls $600, and now the under the gun player calls $600 as well. Turn card 7 of hearts brings in a flush draw, and when they check to me, I think I want to implement a little bit of pot control here. It's very possible I could be up against an overpair, and also it's a little hard to get 3 streets of value from my hand from worse hands as well. So I pot control and check back this turn. The final card, deuce of hearts. Backdoor flush gets there. Now, it's very possible the small blind could have a hand like ace queen of hearts, king queen of hearts that he floated with on the flop, but he snap checks now over to the under the gun player, who thinks and checks over to me as well. So I just don't think after the turn checking through that any of these players are checking a flush here. Now, it's still possible the small blind could have some of those slow played overpairs. I mean, I've been very aggressive this session. It's very possible he could be trying to trap me with kings or queens or aces. But I think in this situation, I just have to go for value. And if I value owe myself against those big overpairs, I guess I'm just going to lose. I just don't see anyone having a 4. So I just think I'm going to have the best hand here a lot of the time. But I have to decide what sizing I want to use. I decided to go big. I want to make it look somewhat bluffing. I make it $4,000 to go. Small blind snap calls me. Under the gun folds. I show, not expecting to win after getting snap called, but he shows pocket 10s. Wow, sick one there. Jack on the flop. Pocket 10s he calls, and then the bet on the river gets paid off. And after hours of losing and losing and losing, we finally get a pot going our way. Even after winning this pot, I am still upstuck thousands and thousands of dollars. It's getting late now, probably about an hour left in the night, so I am in desperate mode, trying to play some big pots. I'm re-raising and re-raising again and again. There's a raise from $125 from an early position player. I 3-bet to $400 with queen 10 of diamonds. He 4-bets me to $1,800, and I beat him in the pot. No way I'm folding a hand like this. I mean, I could make a royal flush with queen 10 of diamonds. So I call 4-bet pot in position. We flop huge. Ace, king 6, 2 diamonds, straight draw and flush draw. And this should be a board my opponent will be connecting with hard. This could be a big one. He bets out $800 on an ace king high board in a 4-bet pot. I just really shouldn't have many raises. Now, I do think I could just raise and try to get my hand all in, but I think it's just better to try to realize my equity here. So I just make the call for 800, getting a good price, trying to hit one of my outs, and I miss everything. Offsuit 7. If he blasts big here, I'm going to hate it, but I'm probably going to call. But he decides to check to me. Maybe I could bluff, get him off a hand like queens or jacks, but I decided to just check. River card, ace. I miss everything. No diamond, no jack, no pair, nothing. Just deflated, just annoyed, just tilted. My opponent thinks and bets out for $1,500. Not going to call here, so I fold. He later told me he had quad aces, so yeah, pretty big hand for him. That ends up being it for my session here at Casino Dania Beach. I ended up losing around $5,000. It was a swingy one. I was up a lot early on and then just kind of melted away and booked a loss. If you guys are in the South Florida area, come to the meetup game Thursday, November 20th, 6 p.m. Casino at Dania Beach, 5-5 no limit. Hope to see you guys there. Next week, I'll have another video for you guys. Stay tuned. Please like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see ya.